now, the Young Turks proudly present a naked look at the party of family values, where GOP stands for and right to life takes a backseat to right to licentiousness. Republican Sexcapades, where real family values don't have a prayer. Republican Sexcapades. Hide the altar boys and cover the kiddies' ears. Here's today's edition of Republican Sexcapades with Cliff Schecter.
Can't get enough of it.
That's my first time actually hearing the open there to Republican Sexcapades.
Yeah, and you should see the video that goes along with it. It's lovely. Lovely. All right. So Cliff Schecter joins us now from cliffschecter.com, etc. Cliff, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, except for I don't think there's anything I can say that tops the opening music. So,
Cliff, I think you've joined your 18th blog, right? What's it? New films?
Can't you count, Jank? You went to some good schools. It's the 19th.
Oh, okay.
No, I joined Brave New Films, but the blog is part of it. But really, it's to do that and to help develop some creative ideas for video and things like that. So, not just a blogging enterprise. I actually sort of have a real job, which is a strange thing for me.
Wow. Okay, we're all growing up in this world, aren't we?
Well, I hit 35, and I thought, Well, no, I'm just kidding. Right. Yeah, no, it's a great offer, and Robert Greenwald's a great guy, and as you know, they do very good work there. So
I know very much, absolutely. And funny enough, it turns out, coincidentally, our first story involves a little 1-minute clip from Brave New Films. Should we run that first, Cliff?
Sure. I would never self-promote, as you know, but
no, I know.
This is wrong. I can't. I always end up. This is a conflict of interest. This is wrong. It's just wrong on 100 different levels.
Hey, go back to Gravel's hot tub, all right?
In Cliff, in journalism school, I learned very clearly about conflicts of interest. And
there's a thing called disclosure, and I do it. I promise.
Right,
I won't force it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's run this clip from Brave New Films about another right-wing commentator. They all run together. This guy's name is Mark Smith.
To me, putting openly gay people in the military is a social experiment, and now's not the time for it. I mean, the example I like to give is if, for example, if you put me in a platoon with nothing but, let's say, Hooter waitresses, that's going to distract me, and I'm not going to be focused on winning the war. I'm going to be focused on other things.
Where's Becca?
Nothing but, let's say, Hooter waitresses, that's going to distract me, and I'm not going to be focused on winning the war. I'm going to be focused on other things.
All right, for those of you who couldn't see the latter half of that video on theyoungturks.com, it had a guy shooting up into the air from a bunker, and then you see that there's Hooters girls having a pillow fight behind him. That's why he was distracted.
By the way, not Hooters girls, Hooter girls. I'm going to nitpick, but another thing to hate about Mark Smith is that he's trying to make a point and he can't even say the name of the restaurant. Right?
There's actually a lot to hate about him. And
clearly, first of all, I'm going to say something here that's look. I heard the clip, and we're an equal opportunity show. I believe in obviously gays should be in the military. I'm going to go with there's a 82% chance that Mark Smith is gay.
Yes, I am too. I mean, if you'd watched that show, they had John Soltz on, the good guy from Vote Vets, who actually served, unlike Mark Smith, and turned to him and said, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about," essentially. But Mark Smith, of course, countered that he knows more than a guy who actually was in the military, because we know these chicken hawks, like the guys at Pennsylvania Avenue, always know more than the people who actually served. So. So he knows more, and additionally, I would be willing to bet, just like at least, I'd say between 50 and 70% of the Republican Party, that he's gay.
Yeah.
And can't accept it and doesn't like himself for it and will just live a happy life.
Look, I will say that it is a little bizarre that he doesn't actually know what Hooters is, right, as he talks about it. And it's fascinating that he's obsessed with foxholes, even though he's never been in one. But having said that, to be clear on the record, we have no idea what the actual sexuality of Mark Smith is. We do know he's a fool who pretends to speak for the military, when in fact the military can speak for itself, Cliff. And what do the polls about the military say on whether they're comfortable with gays and lesbians serving in the military?
Interestingly enough, a Zogby polled them last December said that those who'd served in Iraq or Afghanistan, 73% of those polled said they were comfortable with lesbians and gays. And then a 2004 poll also said a majority were, and that was up from 16% in 1992. So that shows where the issue's going.
It's going to skyrocket up. It's going to be over 90% because, of course, nobody cares. And of course, these guys who serve in the military, they know very clearly one thing, that they know two things. One, they already serve with gays in the military. And most of them know who the gay guys are because they've served together and they're close, so they know things about each other, just like you know that the sergeant's the drill sergeant's wife is named Jill. You learn things about people, and you know what? Everything seems to be going fine. We've not heard anything about the argument that the conservatives and these sort of hateful anti-gay conservatives, the thing they keep talking about is the phrase they've decided to capitalize: unit cohesion. And it's always guys like Mark Smith, who's never been on a unit, and I suspect never played for a sports team because he didn't have any friends and nobody would pick him.
Right.
So he didn't know anything about cohesion. But we have unit cohesion now in the military, and we have gays in the military. And, of course, the most badass army in the world we hear about all the time, Israel, they have women and they have gays and they have unit cohesion.
Certainly stopped Israel, yes. It's definitely made their army a disorganized band of nutbags and lunatics.
Right. Exactly.
And England also has gays in the military, and we served with England in Iraq. But what I think that's one of the reasons why the people in the military now find it a lot more acceptable. Also, a changing of the culture in general. But I got to say, man, that number, we've kind of glossed over it, but the fact that it was only 16% in 1992, people in the military saying it's okay to serve with gays, and now from 1992, in 15 years, it's gone from 16% to 73%. That's a big jump.
Yeah, that's a remarkable number.
Yeah, it just shows where the culture has gone, and people like Mark Smith, as we have progressed, of course, have been left behind because, as I think Ben said, he's never had any cohesion of his unit. And he needs some, apparently, because he's not sure which way he wants to take his unit. Okay.
That's funny.
We got to get
to this other story, but I want to say one real quick thing that's a fairly serious point about the gays in the military argument and this unit cohesion argument and all these gay-hating bastards on the other side. And they're bad people. They're no different than Bull Connor and Jim Clark back in the 1960s. But is this... The notion that the demonization of gay people, the notion that if you're gay, you're going to be like a Hooters waitress, that you cannot, if you're gay, that's automatically all you are.
Right, everything's about sex if you're gay.
Right. I mean, I guess then we should also point out that guys like what's this guy's name? Mark what? What's his name?
Mark Smith.
Mark Smith. That guys like Mark Smith can't work in an office with women, because automatically, if he sees any woman in his office, he's going to think about her as a Hooter waitress. It's people have jobs and they do their jobs, and gays in the military. Look, if a gay guy in the military walks around with a G-string and nothing else, guess what? Everybody's going to want to throw him out of the military. And if a heterosexual guy does that, everybody's going to want to throw him out of the military too. But guess what? If you sign up for military service, odds are you want to be in the military. So it's preposterous, it's hateful, and they're demonizing. This is not even an argument anybody should be having, comparing gay people in the military to Hooters waitresses.
There is one exception, though, I would say, which is if you're an Arabic translator, you should be thrown out, because we'd rather not know that Al-Qaeda or anyone else is coming than actually have gay people serve.
No, that's a good point, because gay people translate stuff differently.
That's true. They translate stuff. They throw all sorts of sexual innuendo in there.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And, it's possible that finally that Mark Smith is worried about getting distracted if there are gay guys in the military for a reason. You know,
Yeah.
Perhaps he would be driven to distraction. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the second story is
By the
about...
way, come on, we got to give Cliff a little credit though for unit cohesion. That was really great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I try, you know.
Look, I had a couple other puns in my packet. Like, you know, did Mark Smith also get polled to find out what his views were? But I'm going to save the
That's
rest.
standard. That one's played out. Unit cohesion.
You guys have to understand, I only get a little, I only get these 20 minutes, so I have to throw them all out there. You've got all day. Or not all day, but a couple hours. How about that?
All right. Speaking of running out of time, though, let's do the second story on Mike Huckabee. This is a curious story. Now, first, a guy gets ripped off by a prostitute. There's so many amazing parts of the story. It's in Little Rock, Arkansas. Apparently she charges him $15.
Which I didn't think is a good rate, but okay. That's just me.
$15? Fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know the latest rates, but that seems pretty damn cheap.
They must have a really rough economy down there.
We got to sell the story correctly. This is a guy who, Mike Huckabee, when he was the governor of Arkansas, commuted his sentence, correct? Granted clemency. Guy was serving a life sentence for killing a Greek guy in Little Rock, correct?
Yes, he killed a guy in Little Rock. His name is Wade Stewart, and Huckabee granted him clemency. And this is fun, of course, because Huckabee is the holier-than-thou social conservative that he is.
Right. So the guy gets out after 30 years, and then police arrest him at was it at a house of ill repute? Was it or just was he?
He was in a car of ill repute. He was driving around in a Suburban.
And then she said that the guy took that the prostitute stole $15 without returning the favor.
Exactly. This is not a very well-written story, so it's sort of hard to understand what's going on.
Well, I want people to understand the two key parts of the story. So first of all, you're in a car with a hooker, right? And she steals $15.
Right.
And you call the police and say, I was in a car with a hooker, and I'm going to sort of call the cops on this?
Exactly. It's like, they took my $15 and did not deliver the sex.
You should be so pleased that you got out of there with your life.
Yeah.
Just drive away.
No. Here's the other part of the story. I mean, it gets worse. First of all, he's an ex-con, as Cliff explained. Second of all, he has a gun on him. So when the cops get there, they arrest him for having the gun. Okay? I mean, this guy is so painfully stupid. Now they bring it all the way back to the first point that Ben made. Mike Huckabee let this guy out of jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the important thing here is that there's a guy driving around pissed off about the hookers and has a .38 caliber in his belt, on his waistband, and they call the police. He gets busted, and because of this whole $15 not getting the hooker and all that. And so this guy's an absolute moron, and he's got a weapon, and he's involved in prostitution. But Mike Huckabee thought it would probably be a good idea to grant him clemency.
Is there any chance that Scooter Libby does the same thing?
From what I hear right now, Scooter Libby is driving down with a whole boatload of hookers, and he's got .38 calibers coming out of every orifice. But I could be wrong. I just heard that. Yeah.
No, the reason
I hope.
The reason that I bring up Scooter Libby in regards to another person getting clemency from another Republican is because, they say, Bush said, no, but you see, we're still tough because he's going to have to pay that $250,000 fine, even though, of course, his friends have already given him a lot more than that for his legal defense fund, so that's no problem.
Speaking about hookers, who knows what Mary Madeline's doing to raise that money? Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
That was wrong. Okay, I'm done.
I don't know about that, but I do know James Carville also wrote a letter to say that Libby should get clemency, which is outrageous.
And therefore, in my opinion, should not be in our party anymore. But,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's leave that aside for now. But then Bush also said, "Hey, listen, we're being tough on Libby. Don't worry, because he's also on probation." I mean, what's he going to do? Out another CIA agent while he's on probation? I mean, it's the most meaningless probation of all time, unless he gets caught for a hooker stealing his money, and while he's got a .38 caliber on him. That probation is absolutely meaningless.
It's a joke, and I mean, in the end, I'll just say that is the reason I chose. One of the reasons I found the story and chose it, Cenk, was because it brings up this whole clemency thing again. And I thought, in light of what the ridiculous, unbelievable act committed this week by the president, that this would be a good way to sit around and laugh at Republicans and their tough talk talk, and yet the clemency they give, and everything wrapped in that.
Absolutely.
And really, I mean, not to say that he's necessarily given it to somebody who will end up with hookers, just somebody that will commit, in my opinion, commit treason and out covert agent. So that's a lot better.
Yeah. All right. For more on all of this, check out CliffSchecter.com, and there you can be directed to the 18 other blogs that Cliff also blogs on. All right. Thanks for joining us, Cliff. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys. My pleasure.
Coming right back. Young Turks.